Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
I'm biomedical engineer, sir.
Sorry?
You are biomedical, no? Biomedical engineer, no? I have seen
Uh,
your.
no. I am from chemistry background.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, sir. Z table and T table will be provided in hard copy at exam center.
Uh, I cannot say, but I think it will be whether hard copy or soft copy. I'm not sure, but I think it will be provided. Is there any mention from the course instructor or in the forum? Is there anything?
No, 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 nothing like
Uh,
uh,
okay,
that one.
so you can just write there. I but what I feel that it will be provided either maybe in the question paper itself at the end it can be provided. I'm not sure though, but yeah, you can
Okay.
just write. I think in any
All.
format it will be provided. Don't worry about that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi Pragati, good evening. So we'll start shortly, so let others join. Uh, Okay, so NPTEL are there. So welcome everyone. So today it is our last session of this discussion forum, and you will get another session probably tomorrow. The other session is already done. So yeah, so today is the last session for me. This is the last session for you in this research methodology course. So it was, I mean, it's a nice experience for me. Okay, so and I tried to solve some of the things or discuss some of the things. I mean, yeah, being a student, I also didn't know all the things I had to read, and I tried to convey as much as I could. Okay, now the thing is that the exam is knocking the door, so you have to. I hope you are all preparing well for the things, and assignments are mostly over. So and you know now the marks and all the things for whoever has gotten how much marks in the assignment. So uh, now I mean the main thing is the exam. So I hope you are preparing and practicing well for in all the things that you have read in throughout the course of these 3 months of your tenure. Now the main major problem that we all face that was in the mathematical portion, but I hope that we have practiced well and that similar kind of problems will be asked in the exam, so there is nothing to worry about that. Just practice those things, just to remember the formulas that has been taught here, so it will be easy. I mean, it is not that of a difficult thing. Yeah, when once you are doing this for the first time, that was a difficult job, or but now you've learned the things, so it will be not that difficult, right? So I hope that it will be good for all of you. So on that note, we will start today. So the today's session will be based on basically the
Excuse me,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, sure,
Uh, Actually, sir, there is lots of example in book also, right? So,
right.
which I had tried, but it was not able to solve. So that kind of also will come, like some questions
Uh,
which are.
no, what I feel that the kind of yeah, I mean, if you see many books, I'm not sure which book you are talking about,
This
but
is, sir, only uh,
oh, okay, by
more
our instructor,
information.
right?
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
Okay, okay,
Banerjee,
yeah,
sir,
yeah.
only.
But I mean, most of the type of problems have been asked in the assignments, right? So, but yeah, some
Okay,
more additional problems are there that have been solved. Also, you can go through that, and some one two kind of questions will be there that is not directly asked. But what I understand or what I have seen that most of the diverse type of person should be arise can be arise from there, so that has been already asked in the assignment. So you can
okay,
just prepare all those things and just go through the additional problem that is there, that is solved in the book as well. So that will be enough for the exam. I mean, it is not a very difficult exam, it is just an easy exam.
yeah.
So
Actually, sir, back to back, I have another course which I had taken. So back to back exam is there for second
okay. Oh yeah, yeah. So
NPTEL.
that will
Yeah,
be a bit difficult for you to do
yeah,
that. So, but yeah, I mean, you're getting ample time, right? So I think
yeah.
if practice gives some more time for that, so it will be not a difficult thing, right?
Okay, sir.
So
Thank you.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that thing that I was saying, that the today's session will be mostly on based on this week 9, 10. I mean, this last three week, right? So because we have to finish, we have to address all the assignment problems, that is the thing. I mean, otherwise it will not proper, it will not right. So that thing we will discuss today mainly, the part that is about how to write a paper, how to, I mean, manage all these things in a paper, how to communicate a paper, how to write a proposal, how to present a poster and all this. So those things we'll cover, and basically we will also cover the assignment problems. So I will. No, I have not included all the things in the slide because that is not easier. But I will try to explain all the things as much as I can, and then we will discuss the problems also, and we will finish it up in that note, right? So yeah, let's start today's lecture. So it is today's discussion. So that is week 12 and the final one as well. So yeah, so this is, and again, and just a disclaimer. So yeah, I mean how the questions will come. I have told earlier as well. So the thing, the exam will be auto evaluated without any human intervention. So no, I mean the no copies will be checked manually. It will be auto evaluated via in computer. The pattern will be similar to what they encountered in the weekly assignments, right? So whatever kind of problem, whatever types of problems you have gone through in the assignments, that will similar kinds of problems will be asked only, and most will be objective type questions. Some will be numerical, right? So numerical you can understand. So there no options are there. Just you have to write the answer, and always a range of answer is prepared so that, I mean, let's say zero point 0.5. So a range is taken always to give answer, to give the marks. So that will be not a problem. You have to just be close to that. Okay. So this is the question pattern. So you just prepare well, and it'll be okay for all, right? Now, so we'll start about manuscript writing, right? How to write a manuscript. So all of you are from a research background, I guess, because you are doing a research methodology course. So this is the last part and very important part of the why we're reading all these things, because to communicate result that we have obtained from our research, right? So far we are discussing how to do this, what is research, why to do that, how to select a problem. After those things, how to separate a data and how to accept a data, how to calculate errors from that. So all those things we have done. Now so these are the things that you go through throughout your research, right? So yeah, let's say you are doing experiment. You have selected a problem. You work on that. We work on different experiments, and then you get multiple results from multiple data sets. You prepare from there. You prepare some data or some results, some bar diagram, some flow chart, some different kind of results you get, and from there you calculate error bars and all the things. And right, so and in that way, let's say you have finished. So I mean, the problem that you have chosen, so you now you feel, and you and your supervisor, whoever is that, so you feel that now the work is more or less complete. So now you should write a paper, or you should communicate the paper through the scientific community so that all can see. Now the process is not that easy to, I mean, to get published a paper before. So for that you have to write a paper. You have to write a paper in briefly, I mean, in a described way, in a prescribed format for different journals. And then what you have to do, you have to communicate that. So that I'll come one by one. How is the procedure? Before that, I will just discuss about how to write a paper, right? So for writing a paper, I mean, there are two kinds of things. So two kinds of communications are there, right? So one is the communication that is called, and other is the article type. One is communication type, and other is the article type. Right? These are two very broad areas of communicating scientific result or scientific data, whatever you have gotten. Right now, what is communication? Communication is nothing but a very short result, right? So if you go through different journal pages or different journal uh, uh, website, so they will provide how to prepare a manuscript. So there are some guidelines are there for doing that. Now communication is that very short thing, like you have gotten a result, but that is not a foolproof result, right? So let's say you've gotten a data of some particular observation, and and to support that you have done some several experiments. Now you want to publish that, right? But you know that that is not the complete work, in the sense that there are some scope of work is left. You can further extend the work in different ways, so that I am not specifying here. For different fields it will become different. uh, so so that scope is there. So but you want to communicate, you want to show the, you want to publish the result quickly, or you want to uh, draw the attention of the scientific community through your result, or let's say very simply you want to publish the data, so that because you understand, like, right, that the field is, I mean, in different fields nowadays so many researchers are working, and so many people are working. It can happen, it multiple times happen in our if the thing happens that many people are working, or many people have chosen a similar kind of problem, and they are working on the similar kind of problem. So you have to do it weekend first. So that is, otherwise other people can publish. So it has happened in my neighboring lab, right? I know that. So they were working on some kind of problems, and they have, I mean, they're writing the paper, and they've seen that similar two papers back to back of same author. I mean, those, I mean, some other lab of some other country have already published that. So this kind of things happens, and you have to cope up with that, and you have to be prepared with that, right? So that's what. So that's why the communication is there. So you're just getting a result, and you want to publish that. Simple as that. Very it, and that's why the format of communication is very short. There is only 4 5 figures that they are in a paper, and that there is a limit of your how much words you can use, and for different journals. So it is like that. And other is the article. So article is the elaborated work. You are doing a complete work. So there is no further scope of expanding the work. Yeah, some people can take the inspiration and take a leap out of that, and they can do other works, or they can use the result, but they cannot further expand. So in that way this is called article. So this is the basic difference. Other things are there as well, like review. You can write, you can write a review based upon the expertise, or the work that has been done in the field. So those things are review, and other types are there. But broadly, there is this communication and article types are there, right? Now, to write a manuscript, how you have to devise the total thing. So these are basically abstract, introduction, body of the article. So article means you just take for here communication or article, whatever it is, right? So yeah, so body of the article, results. In some paper it is, and the next is discussion and conclusion. So but in most of the cases it is actually result and discussion, and conclusion is other part. Like in some papers it is results, discussions and conclusions. In some cases results and discussion, and conclusion is different. So there's just the variation. And finally there is acknowledgements, then references, and figures and tables. These are actually included within this result and discussion part. So but these are the very broad areas we have to take care while writing a paper. Okay. So we will come one by one. And another thing is that before that, that will be the title of the paper, obviously. So you have to fix a title based upon whatever you have done, right? No, so now, so few things you need to remember while writing the manuscripts, or before writing the manuscripts. So, and that is, yeah. So the so you have to remember what you want to communicate, what data you want to communicate, or what information exactly you want to communicate. That you have to be very sure before start the writing. Second thing is that which group of people you want to cater. There are things like it can be very specific for only the field of your research, or it can be with broader area. So in that way, you have to choose the journal where you want to submit as well, right? Third thing is that some background information you have to collect before. I mean that you have already collected before starting the exam, starting working on the problem. And finally, some logical conclusion. So that is that you have to remember that what you want to conclude or what you want to infer through the one. So these things you have to remember. And next I have told that is title. And now the first thing first is the abstract. So abstract is in most of the papers, if you see, so there's a limit of abstract, so that is around 200 to 300. So this is roughly, but there are different specifications for different journals, obviously. Now mainly what things are there in the abstract, there is so for every specific section, like this abstract, introduction, R&D, like research and result and discussion. So there are different uh, criteria are there, so that you have to remember, right? So for the abstract, the thing is that you have to remember what problem you are investigating, that you have to elaborate very clearly why you are doing the why you are focusing on this particular problem, that you have to write. So basically you have to give some kind of very very small background of the work, and then you have to define the problem, why you have chosen the problem, then you have to talk about uh, whatever what methods you have taken to. Methods means like scientific methods or any particular experiments that you have taken, or that you have taken from some other places, or you have designed. So those things, and then finally you have to elaborate very deeply, not in very elaborate way, but you have to very shortly you have to write the actual result that you have gotten. And then you have to conclude. What conclude means you have to say uh, what this result is inferring actually. So these are the abstract. Abstract is basically the synopsis of your work, right? So you have to has to be very crisp, and it should convey the whatever you have done, because you have to remember that once. I hope you all know that whenever you open a journal or open a site, unless you have a subscription, we will not be able to open the data. The journal or open the article, right? So but the thing is that the abstract is always available with free of cost for all the cases, for all the papers. Abstract of any paper is freely available, so people will read the abstract first. So if then they feel that okay, this is somewhat that will be beneficial for me, or that will be good for me or helpful for me for my research, so then they can go through the result or go through the throughout the journal in detail. But first thing they will read is the abstract, and this will give. And once you communicate your paper, this is also very important thing, is that the edit once goes to an editor, he will also first read this abstract part only. So you have to be very careful while writing the abstract, because this will be the main juice or the actual meat you have to take out from the total result and discussion or the introduction, whatever you have written, right? So that is the abstract. This is the very tight and crisp synopsis of your work, right? Now we are coming to the introductory part. I start with the introduction. So basically, from here, the body of your work is starting, right? Before that, whatever it is freely available, and people can see that all the things. But yeah, now so coming to the introduction part. Uh, so how to write introduction? So introduction is bit elaborative compared to abstract, and here you have to not very crisp, but you have to say there's, although there is some kind of word limits like 300 to 500. These are all these numbers are very rough. There is some for different journals different restrictions are there. As I'm saying, in some cases what happens is that they give a restriction of total number of words, for particularly for communication I'm talking about, not for the article. But yeah, then you have to decide, you have to divide all your parts, because unless you divide, you give all the things in your abstract introduction, to be difficult to convey the actual results in the result and discussion section, right? So for the yeah so for so for the introduction section, what you have to do is you have to keep a very background of the research. That is very important, because unless you give the background why you are choosing, so in the abstract you can argue that, yeah, we have already told that in the abstract, but now your main paper is starting from introduction, not in the abstract. Abstract is there, but people want to go through in detail your paper, so they will start from the introduction, right? So not from the abstract. Okay. So yeah, so first you have to give a broad information about the previous research, or even very shortly. Then background information. Then you have to focus. So it will start like you're saying that, well, these things are done in this field, and then you are defining the problem, right? Sorry, I mean, then you're saying this much work, or particularly in this area, this particular group has done this work. I'm just saying abruptly. Okay, then you have to define what you are trying to focus. So okay, now what we want to show that, but these things. So this has not been, or through the best of our knowledge, this has not been addressed in any of the previous reported literature. So we want to address this particular problem. So then you will define the problem. What problem you want to state here. Okay, and then finally we will state whatever what you have done in this paper. State what already, I mean, whatever is known that you have told. Now what methodology you are following to address this kind of problems, whatever experiments, whatever typical experiment that you have taken help from the reported literature, whatever you have done in the newly, that in although again very brief, not very elaborated, but you have to state that. And finally you have to summarize the problem, summarize the result, that okay, this, I mean, a detail of the things you have done, but in not very elaborated way. Okay, so finally we'll conclude that okay, we have done in this kind of work. And you can also s- tell that, and I mean, this some people do, or not all, that how this will be beneficial for the future literature. Although these things usually come in the conclusion part, but some people, as I'm saying, this depends case to case. Uh, but you can state that, but mainly before that, you have to briefly state the main result. And finally, uh, in what way you have derived, and how you have derived, or you concluded towards this kind of a conclusion, that this result is actually validated, and how we have done this. So in this way you have to just elaborate this introduction first. So now abstract is gone, introduction is gone. Now you are coming to the main body of the paper, that is this research, result and development, right? So result will be sorry, result and discussion. So result in some paper, this, as I was saying, some division, that in the specifically, if you go to this nature journal, nature group articles, any nature group articles, so they have this division of result one. So in the result part, so the thing is that, so in the result part, very crisply they state the main data or main result they have obtained. Now in the introduction you have already told that, but
Sir,
in the
voice is buffering, sir.
is it so? Is it okay now? Uh, is it clear now?
No, your voice is okay. I think
Okay, okay,
some problem with your mic.
okay, okay. Okay, so yeah, so now in the result part, you have to be you have to elaborate a bit, right? But not the logic. You have to very briefly you have to elaborate that whatever results. So in the introduction part, you have very naively or you have very crisply stated whatever you have gotten, not all the things you have stated, the main result you have highlighted. But in the result part, you have to highlight step by step whatever results you have gotten, right? And not an elaborate discussion. Now the elaborate discussion will come in the discussion section. As I was saying, so in the if you look, I go through this nature journal. So there is a one is result part, and then there is a discussion part. Okay. So in the discussion part, you will elaborate or you will provide logic behind the every experiment or every set of data that you have gotten, or every set of result that you have described in the result section. Or in some cases, like in the issues like American Chemical Society, I am being specific again for my field. I'm saying this American Chemical Society or Wiley is very wide. So in those cases, they this result and discussion section comes in the same paragraph. Okay, so there you can go in hand by hand, like you can describe one result and then you can describe the logic behind that, like that is there in the discussion section. But broadly, this is separate things. You have to briefly state the result and then you have to describe that in the discussion part. So what did the study confirm? Is your hypothesis that you have stated in the introduction part or you have defined the problem, is that are those validated throughout the experiments, or that is actually you are negating or you are neglecting or uh, you are not confirming that your hypothesis was right, or you are giving some alternative hypothesis that you have learned. If not, did the result provide an alternative hypothesis? What interpretation can be made from this hypothesis? And do the results agree with the other research, like the data that is already provided in the literature? So are these aligned with those results where it should be aligned, or is it something very orthogonal or very unique or very groundbreaking, and this kind of problems are not at all stated in the literature? So in that case, you have to be very careful while reporting any kind of data, because you understand, right? So whenever you are communicating any very new data that is not at all reported in the literature, lots of questions will be thrown to you from the reviewers. That will come. I mean, how this review process goes on. Okay, now then, source of error or any anomalous data means uh, if you are expecting, like here you will describe that I was expecting from this kind of particular experiment, I was expecting something. However, I have obtained this trend. Like I was, let's say I was expecting an increasing trend, but we have gotten a decreasing trend, right? Yeah, Shilpa, you want to say something? Please unmute and say. Okay, so if you want to say something, please unmute. Otherwise, I can carry on, right? Okay. So anomalous data means, yeah, if anything that you have expected and any opposite trend you have gotten. So, but you have to give the logic why you have gotten that trend, right? So otherwise, people will. I mean, at least the logic you have to give, because once you are getting some trend, you have done some background research. Now you are getting some opposite trend, overcome over to your expectation. So you have to give some logic. Why is that? That can be a probable logic, that can be not the absolute, but you have to provide something. Now suggestions for improvement in the future research, whether that will be helpful or not, that you can provide and relate to the previous research, as I was saying. So these are the things you are concluding the discussion, right? So these are the main, I mean the main part of of your paper. It's gone, right? Okay. Now extract, that is gone. Then introduction, research and discussion. So these are gone. Once these are gone, you are coming to the another. Okay, now another important things that I will miss, that is the tables and figures. So tables and figures are there. It will be throughout the paper. Okay, so it will be included within the sorry, it will be included again within the research and development section. And a main scheme or figure one or a schematic presentation will be there, that will be in the introduction section. Okay, so that the scheme or schematic introduction, schematic representation, that will that will typically show in a very crisp manner what the main result of your paper. Okay, so whatever the result you are getting, so that should be came out, that should come up from this actual this scheme. So it should clearly depict whatever you want to say actually, right? Then in figure, in most of the cases, total of in the communication cases, there is, for some most of the papers there is restriction of 4 figures. In some, as I was saying, for the nature group paper there is not no such restrictions are there. You can put at as much figure as you can. Okay, now so there will be let's say figure one, uh, figure two, figure three, figure four. So 4 figures in there is the standard format. Now, some graphs can be included within that, some images and some tables as well. Those can be included within that, and you have to designate, you have to specify those things like this is figure 2A, figure 2B, this kind of things you have to specify there, and you have to specify in the respective area of the result and discussion section while mentioning about that particular result or data. Okay, that you have to provide, and figure should be high resolution so that it is clearly visible. This is not this old era, while so you know that in the earlier days, so it was very difficult to communicate a paper. Okay, someone wants to say something. Yeah, Shilpa, if you want to say something, please go ahead. I'm asking you, right? You just unmute and tell if you want to say something. I cannot hear anything from, or I don't know if you're facing some other problem.
No, sir, it just by mistake
Oh, okay,
I
okay, okay,
raised the hand.
okay, no issue. Okay, so now, yeah, so then other thing is there. It should be high resolution, neat and legible. So yeah, what I was saying, in the earlier days, it was very difficult to communicate a paper. So there, it was type, you have to do type in the type machine, and then you have to send the hard copy. So that was very difficult in earlier days. Now it is, all the things are there, all the softwares are there for you, so you have to just, these things will be, you cannot compromise these things, right? So because these things like this presentation, how we are presenting a data, that matters a lot while while communicating in paper, right? This is called a scholarly presentation. So I mean, there is a particular column while the reviewers who review, whoever review your paper, they see, they give some marks, they put a marks of high or low or moderate about that. How did you scholar? How was your presentation? How was your scholarly presentation? So that is very important. It should be very clear and legible, and then okay, so then other thing is that you have to indicate the error. If some error is there, that it should be mentioned, like the error bars that I am talking about. So if for error bars, for a particular, let's say you have made a particular graph or provided a particular graph. So for calculating the errors for that particular data, how many data set it is doublet, at least triplicate is always required. So triplicate or more than that, how many data set you have taken care, so that you have to clearly mention in the while providing the data. So that should be in the legend and the detailed caption. So caption means the legend. So for every particular figure, so there should be a caption or legend. You have to provide, let's say, one figure A, B, C, D, and then you are putting some data. So let me show you some of a paper that will be. Oh, I'll show you at the end. It will be easier for you. Let me finish first, and then I will show one particular paper. Okay, so now and a detailed caption of that. So once that is done, you have to give a conclusion section. Then in the conclusion section you will provide what I mean in the whatever result you have gotten, again with a very minute background, and you have to very briefly. Now the tone will be different. Like in the introduction part, you have again stated the problem and you have said that this we have done, but in the conclusion section you will very elaborately, you will state that okay, this is we have done, and after that a section will be there, what is the future direction, or whatever inference we can draw from here, so that you have to state in the conclusion section. Okay, so always remember, like while writing, these abstract and conclusion sections are very important. While you are communicating your journal, the editors first read these two parts, your abstract and conclusion. So they see, I mean, whether what unique things are there, and every unique thing should be included there in the abstract and the conclusion section, right? And that will be there very in a very crisp way. So that's why it will be easy to read. It is easy to understand, and it should be very clear. Now, once this your main body paper is done, you have to come to this reference section, and in the reference section, uh, okay, in the reference section, you have to while from the introduction and result and discussion, all through all these parts you have to refer, like in whatever part you are getting, you are, let's say you are stating some, you're saying so, okay, this is done in the literature already, so you have to put a reference, you have to give the due that have has already been done in the earlier case. Okay, so that you have to do. So, okay, so and now once you are doing some experiments, for that you are taking help of some reported literature, there also you have to put the references. Okay, so in this way you have to put, I mean, reference section is very very important. So it happens quite often that once you submit and the reviewers ask, okay, this was an important reference but you have missed that, you should have included that, and gives, and it makes some impact. Okay, so this that is also important, and I'll come that how this asking a reference is also comes under scientific misconduct, so that I'll come also. But yeah, but it is important to be very careful while choosing the reference. What you cannot give very whatever reference you want, like a lots of reference, and you cannot, I mean, you cannot be very generous, I mean, you cannot be very very crisp, for not giving a due to a particular study or data that is already there in the literature. You have to be very very much balanced in that. So yeah, so that's all for the reference part. We have to put reference, and then the thing you have to give the acknowledgement section. So acknowledgement section is that you have to acknowledge. Basically, in the acknowledgement section, what you write is our funding source. You what I mean, how many authors the authors has to mention the funding source. Those are helpful for them. Your PI or the corresponding author has also to provide that, or and if in particular some particular institute or some particular facility or some particular person you want to acknowledge for helping for some particular experiment, in that way you can also their name in the acknowledgement section, right? So these are all. So like, so the parts we have already discussed is that abstract, then introduction, then result and discussion, then how to include the tables and figures within that, and then a part is coming as the reference, and then the acknowledgement section. So apart from these, other parts are there, and the thing that is this SI, or as I have not included here, but because it's not mentioned also, that is the supplementary information. You have always to put the supplementary information if it is sufficient, that whatever you want to say, that is already fitted within this prescribed format, within these wordings and all, that is okay. But if you want to say something additionally, or some additional experiment that is not that important, but you feel that those are important as well, then you have to put that in the supplementary section. That will be given as a particular separate file or separate word file, and that will also be available in freely in the in the journal website. Okay, So in the supplementary information, basically he will provide the informations or the results of those experiments. Those are maybe repetitive, but very, I mean, maybe very important for your case. That's why you have to repeat, or some relevant data that was important to keep to come to this to come to the or conclude to your main data. So those kind of results you can include within the supplementary information sections. Now, so this is all about the about writing a paper. So these things you have to be be very careful while writing all those things. Particularly for as I was saying that there are particular formats for every prescribed journal. So you have to go through uh, their format very clearly because for every journal there is a particular font size is there a particular font they have they mention to use unless you use that they will again send it back to you that you please do this format and then again send it us or resubmit it. Particularly for nature group, as I have seen that there is no particular format is there because before it get accepted. Uh, it is free format. There is no particular format. You can any standard format you can just submit. Once it get accepted, they will ask you to make a particular format, and then you have to do that. But unless it is accepted, because in other journals you understand, right? There is no guarantee that it will be accepted. So, but you have now the norms is like that. You have to make it like that. It will be very clear and crisp and very legible to see, so that once it goes for review, it becomes very clear for them. Okay. Now I'm coming to another part, that is the publication procedure. Okay. As I was saying, how this procedure goes on. Okay. So the procedure is very this known format is there. So once you submit a paper, so the thing is, for every particular journal, there is an editorial team. Okay. Now within that editorial team, one is the editor in chief, who I mean you will write or you will submit the paper. So again you have to write or you have to prepare a cover letter before submitting. Okay, so that is also an important part. In the cover letter you will describe basically the abstract, but I mean a synopsis of your work. So a little bit different but a bit more elaborative than the abstract, but more or less like that. So, and how these are again basically you can say that a mixture of your abstract and conclusion. Okay, now so that is called cover letter. So there you will address to this editor in chief, and then you will describe that this we have done and we want to submit it in this journal, and to accept we want to publish our work in this journal. Okay, and then you have to also put some name of these referees or this reviewer, suggested reviewer name. You can provide there's a format. So, but the procedure is now once you submit this paper to this editor in chief, he will there will be under him some associate editors will be there. So they will some he will put to some associate editor. Now he will designate your paper to some executive editor. Okay, so so this editor is basically your executive editor. You will write to this editor in chief, he will give it to some associate editor, and he will provide some executive he will give some executive he will select some executive editor. Now the executive editor will go through your abstract and this cover letter in detail, and then he will decide whether this paper or the result has the quality to be published within that particular journal, because it depends again on the impact factor. Now he'll read. Now if he thinks that if he thinks that this is not suitable for this journal, he will reject the paper. He will put a mail to the corresponding author that okay, although your work is well, but we don't think that this is enough. This there is enough novelty is there for the your work to be published in this in our esteemed journal. That's called a desk rejection from the is not review. But if he thinks it has enough material, then he will send your paper to some two or three. It depends how many three reviewers of that particular field, because it is obvious that they all the time this associate or executive editor will be not from this particular field that you are have submitted your work. So he will then find some reviewers. Reviewers means some scientists who are working in your particular field. Now he or she will request them to review the paper. If they agrees, so then they will sometimes will be given to them. So then they will go through that paper, and they will decide on whether to review the paper. So if they agrees, and several reviewers will inspect and edit your paper, as I was saying, then the editors, so then they will put their comments. So they will send their feedbacks, whatever they feel about the paper. They can they can reject the paper, or they can say okay, some improvements are required, so they can give some major reviews. Okay, major flaws are there, but if they can they can provide these data, or they can keep the explanation about these results, this can be accepted. And some minor revisions are also sometimes given, like okay, this is well written, but some minor changes or minor uh, experiments can be needs to be done to finally publish before publishing this work in this journal. So they will, let's say three reviewers are there now. Two reviewer have given, one reviewer has given rejection, one has major, I mean other two has given major review. Okay, now it will be totally dependent upon this the editor. Okay, the editor will now decide. If let's say three of them has given a minor revision, so editor will send your paper to for a revision. You have to do the works that have been asked by the reviewers, and then you have to make response to response to the reviewers, and then you will again submit this point by point. You will do some particular time will be given to you. Okay, within this time limit you have to do all these experiments, and you have to revert back to us. So now you have to do all these experiments if it is possible by you now, and then you have to write the explanation in terms of that whatever questions basically has been asked by the reviewer, you have to answer about that. Now once you answer about that, you give it to the reviewer again, sorry the editor again. Now the editor will again send all your paper to these reviewers. Now they will again go through your response, and if they are satisfied, okay, they will say that okay, we are satisfied with the result, we are accepting it. Now if they accept, or if all of them accept your papers, it will be accepted. Editor will inform the corresponding author, okay, we are happy to inform that we are accepting it. But if it is not accepted, and it is the case is that if the authors, or the, let's say as I was saying the case, one reviewer has rejected, other two has given minor review. So sorry, major review. So then it totally depends on the reviewer. So he will decide, the ball is on now his or her court. So he or she will decide whether he will send it. If he or she finds some serious issue within the comment that has been asked for the uh, by the reviewer, so they will judge that, and then they will decide that whether this should be sent for revision, or this can be rejected as well. Okay, it depends. It, again, depends on case to case. But yeah, the thing is, the overall procedure is like that. So once it comes back to you for a revision, you have to do the corrections, you have to send it again. They can again ask for some corrections, then you have to again do the things, and again you have to revert back to them, and then you have to finally have to make them accept the paper. And as I was saying, there is some different norms for different publishing house. Like in some cases, let's say there is let's say there is two reviewers are there. Okay, now one has given rejection and other has given acceptance. Now what will this is 50-50 case, right? So what will the editor do? He will send it to an third reviewer. Okay, so I mean, because I mean, it will be difficult for him or her to decide, right? So then he will give a third reviewer. So based upon his or her comment, he will decide. He or she will decide, and then he will take the decision. So this is overall a publication procedure. A peer review has to be done. Unless it's your review, your paper is going through a peer review, it will not be accepted. There's no such other way to make your paper get accepted within in a reputed journal. So particularly in Nature Publishing House, the norms is that they has to they so unless all the reviewers are agreeing or all the reviewers are accepting, they don't accept the paper. So this is the case. But in other journals, so there is some rules are a little bit uh, easy or bit so you understand, right? So again, it depends on how much impact factor paper you're submitting. It is if it is is very high impact factor paper you are submitting, so it means that people follow or people trust that particular channel very more. So then so they will not compromise with their reliability with any of the if there's any such issue with the novelty or of your results, so they will not compromise with that, and they will ask for multiple time revisions or even for rejections. Okay, so this is an overall procedure for how to write a paper and how to get it published. So this is actually a very tedious procedure. Okay, in some cases, for some journals, they are very first. So they do all the things very quick. In 15 to 1 month, 15 days to 1 month to two, at least mostly within 3 months, you get becomes online. But for nature, again, they are as I was saying. So it takes a lots of time, and it's very tedious. So because the review process takes long and they gives you ample times to if some works you need to do, and then again so it depends again on journal to journal, but this is the overall procedure for publishing a paper. So whatever we're learning so far, have to do this much of a job, so after that your paper will be get published. There is no shortcut. Okay, so in this way, we are now. What we have discussed is that so these things we have to be uh, taken care of while writing a paper. Now we'll discuss about basically this was the thing about the first thing. Okay, so these things are the peer review process I was saying. The review process is purpose is to filter what is published as science to provide researchers with perspective. So because whatever peer means this whatever regards it is going. So they are also working scientists within the field, so they will decide whether this is at all publishable or not. You know what to do, why is peer review scientific publication? So grant review, and so these are different things again. So I've just included here because review happens for multiple cases. So this is not only for the publication. If you write a research proposal for some grant, you have to go through a publishing. You have to if you want to get a promotion for a particular post, you have to write some proposal, and that will be reviewed by this expert review panel, who are this working scientist in that particular field. Now, another important thing is that I'm not included here. That is the writing about the thesis. So that I will not discuss in detail. But thesis writing is another important part of your research after whatever tenure, your PhD tenure you're finished, you have to write a thesis. I am now in third year of my research, so I'm not finished. So, but I'm seeing my seniors to write. So the thing is that you have to in your thesis uh, you have to concise. You have to concise all the results, all the papers you have published, or the even the unpublished work that you have to include in that. And so there in that, but in that particular thesis there is some parts will be there. Again, I'm just stating here there's the introduction part will be there. You have to, you have to just give an overview of your work. Then some theoretical background you have to provide. Is just write a paper, kind of a paper writing. But here what you have to do is you have to connect all the stories or all the papers you have done. So all the stories should be connected within the introduction of your thesis. Then you have to put some literature survey. Then scope, what is the, you have to define the problem, and then you have to state the scope of the research that you have decided to work on. Then you have to divide your different chapters of your thesis as per your published or unpublished works that you have done. And then finally you have to conclude, give a conclusion chapter. And in the starting case there will be an acknowledgement chapter. So this is a comparatively easy part, but yeah, it is again a long time, I mean, a time taking job. You have to be very, it is very tedious, and you have to be very patient while writing the thesis, because you have to taken care of some all these things. This, because the thing is that once you write the thesis, you have to give, you have to present this to your openly to your department. Then you have to submit your thesis, and your thesis will be reviewed again by an external of this field. Now, once he reviews it, then he will give the green signal. Okay, now this is this particular guy has, or this particular person has done enough work. Now he can be graduated. But if he again says, okay, no, that is not done, you have to some do some other more work, you have to improve, then you have to do some work or some particular, in some particular case. But that most generally not happens. Generally what happens, once you're finished and your supervisor thinks that you are done, you've done enough work, so then it's just communicated your thesis, and it, once it accepted and comes back after review, you have to submit to your department or whatever procedure is there in your particular institute. You have to submit, and then you have to again defend your thesis to to an external, uh, and in front of the other faculty members and the, and all people basically in your department, and then you will become a doctor. Okay, now another important thing that I was coming to is the oral and poster presentation. Okay, so this is very very important part of your research, uh, particularly this poster presentation. So in your research career you have to present a poster in different symposium or different whatever conference happens. It is always recommended to present a poster whatever work you are doing, even it is accepted, it is published in different in journals or not published, that doesn't matter, but you should communicate this your result to some audiences. Okay, now so you can see from here that the general format for all presenters will generally contain the element listed below. So nowadays online conferences are there, so you can just prepare a PPT as we're doing. So you have to make a PPT and a poster within the PPT, and you can present there as well. So there are different poster sessions are there, mostly Twitter based poster sessions are there. So you has to be, you have to get habituated with those things, and you have to present a poster. And if in some cases what happens, if you most of the cases oral presentation comes once you present a poster and your poster is gets selected, you are notified then, and then you are asked that okay, your poster was good, then you are asked to give a short oral presentation in that particular conference, and then you have to prepare for that. Okay, so the main difference between these two formats is that the abstracts are often included in a poster but not in the oral presentation. It's quite obvious. For most professions, professional conferences, you will need to submit an abstract complete with the title and authors and with complete author list as a part of the registration process. So while registering for that particular poster session, you have to keep an abstract. Basically, the paper abstract or the journal abstract that you have written, that you have to submit with the title of the paper and all the co-authors, or all the name of the authors and the co-authors. Those are included in the paper, so that you have to provide very clearly. In most of the presentations, this will be divided in the following parts, like abstract, that is we have submitted. Now you no need to include there as a title, introduction. Is very short writings will be there, theory or methods if you want. Mostly it will be figure based. Poster presentation means mostly figures and diagrams based, but some text will be there included for communication purpose. And then conclusion, and obviously this very important part is the acknowledgement part. You have to acknowledge, and also the reference. So these are important parts. And another thing is that, so while while presenting, you have to keep in mind that you have to finish it within 10 to within 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, let's say you are presenting a poster, some people have gathered before you. I'm talking about offline, obviously. So you're in a prescribed format, you have printed your poster, you have hanged it up, and now multiple people are there. Now you are also presenting, so they are people are coming. And so let's say gathering is there, so they want to listen to from you. So you have to give them
Sir,
very
acknowledgement means references what?
acknowledgement means not references. Acknowledgement means again the your funding agencies mostly. So reference part I have forgot, so reference part you have to include here as well. Okay, so acknowledgements is mostly the funding agencies and in the research facility that helped you for doing the things. Okay, so then, yeah, okay, so now, yeah, so you have to cater the audience within very crisply and shortly within 3 to 4 minutes. You cannot, because you see some, and it will happen that some judge will come, some expert will of that area will come to judge. So it sometimes it happens within the department, sometimes they come from other departments. It depends on what kind of conference it is happening. So then they will ask you a few questions, or some normal people also. I mean, sometimes this judge can come, they can hear you very elaborately, they can ask you questions. Or sometimes what happens, they become very silent. So they just see that how you're interacting to other people. So there are different divisions are there. Okay, while marking, so how you're how you're presented. Yeah, so whether all these parts are clearly mentioned in your poster. While your presentation to the audience was very good, your communication was good. While your scholarly presentation was good, like your whatever the images you have provided, those are very visible clearly. Whatever data you have provided, those are very clear and crisp. And in the presentation, the way you have presented, that is very easy to understand. And all. If it is very clumsy and it's very difficult to understand, it always puts a negative impact on the judges who are judging your poster. Now, final thing is that again, your communication skill, and basically these things you have to take in care. And so few things that you need to keep in mind is that uh, keep the material very simple. Material means what, I mean, yeah, in the manuscript there is a scope that people will read through, throughout the manuscript, and they will see the all the images, and they will correlate with the data and with the writing. So there's a scope, but in the poster you have to be very crisp, and you have to present in such a way so that people can, at least with seeing, they can understand, at least who are from your field. And if you put the images and all the representation in a way that is very difficult to understand, so that is not recommended at all. Do not use more than two fonts. Always you try to use same fonts in a particular presentation of poster or oral presentation. Do not use uppercase types in your poster, like uppercase means your all are capital letters. And always try to use this can make the material difficult, so always try to use this kind of what normal conventional way of presenting. So first one of the sentence is the first letter of the sentence, first letter of the first word in the sentence will be a capital and the others will be small. So you just try to follow that. Do not use a different font to highlight or any important point. You can just highlight by putting underscore, sorry, underline, but do not use different font. Or you can use, even you can make it also bold, but do not use other font. It looks very, it is against the scholarly presentation. Equation should be kept in minimum. So in your presentation, try to avoid as much, avoid equations unless your from your work is very equation based like mathematics or physics. In those cases it is very important, but in other cases try to minimize those things as much as you can and try to elaborate or in a very simple way. Check your spelling. A spelling mistake in poster or oral presentation is a very thing, very thing, bad thing that has been accepted, because I've seen to be. I mean, people are criticizing these things in a very bad way in a presentation and even in a poster. Maintain a constant style, like the way you are presenting it. There should be a very coherence in your presentation. It should not be very haphazard kind of things. You are putting some things, so it should not be like that. So now I want to show you a paper, so this will be easier for you to see. So I've just opened a group that
Sir, please
is
show the previous slide.
okay. So this one, okay.
Sir, please explain once.
Uh, Explain. I mean, what you particularly any point or in general you want?
Generally, sir.
Okay. So, what I was saying that for presenting a poster, you should keep few things in mind. That you should always make the format of the poster very coherent. There should not be any different styles you can use throughout the poster. Whatever style or type you are using, it should look very coherent while looking, right. And then you should keep the material or whatever present you are presenting, it should be very simple so that people can understand easily understandable. Because once you are in your manuscript, people can go through that, people can read that. But in your poster presentation or oral presentation, mostly images and figures are there, so there is not much of a scope to understand. But you have to prepare the things in such a way so that people can easily understand that. Do not use different fonts in a particular poster or presentation. Do not use all uppercase, that looks very bad. Uppercase means capital letters. Try to use the normal way of presenting. Uh, do not use different font to highlight any important point. You can use bold, or you can use you can underline that particular word or phrase, but or even the sentence. But do not use different font to make that to give the importance to that particular case. Try to keep minimum equations so that it is becomes, because if you, let's say if you are presenting a poster and there's all the things are only equations, it becomes very much difficult to understand, right. So unless it is only equations are there, like as I was saying, so for mathematics on or physics, so it depends again. But try to keep those things minimum and try to present in a very simple way so that it can catch the audience, or an audience can understand very easily. It becomes easier for you to describe there as well, right. So these are the things I was saying. So all those things you have to keep in mind. If particularly for yeah, so if in some particular format or particular font size is mentioned, you have to maintain that things for this presentation, okay. Now what I was
Okay,
saying
thank
that
you,
I
sir.
sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
You have
okay.
explained
So,
at the best.
yeah, sure. So, what I was saying that I want to show you a paper. So, I guess you all know. I mean, you are very familiar with this paper, but I just want to show you once. So if you can see, this is a group of Nobel laureate. This is Francis Arnold group. I am again showing from my particular area, that is chemistry. And this journal you can see, I am opening here. Let it
So
open. Okay.
buffering, sir.
Uh,
It is
yeah,
buffering.
just my okay. My word, my voice.
Yes, sir. Your voice is buffering.
I don't
No,
know.
no,
Is
it's fine. I think some
okay, so if it is
problem with the
fine for
net.
others, just check your
It's fine.
yeah, yeah. You just check your uh, internet connection, please. Since others are saying fine, so I think it's okay. Right? So
Okay,
yeah,
sir.
so yeah, yeah. So again, I have just put the download option, but if it is, since I can do that because it is subscribed in our institute, this particular journal. Unless there is a subscription, you cannot download the entire paper. So I will show you. Okay, so this is nature paper again. So this is nature catalysis. It's very high impact journal. So you can see this is the journal. This is the title of the paper, and this is the abstract part. Okay, this is always available free of cost. If you can notice here, so this is available here with free of I mean, no subscription is required. So people will go through this part at the beginning. Now you can see, this is the this is the tenure. So they have received the paper. I mean, you have submitted the paper. Then they have, the editorial team have received the paper in the July 2022, and it is accepted in December. So this is a 5 month. This is very minimum, and this is come online on 19th of January 2023. Okay. So this is a very minimum. So usually it takes longer than that. Okay. Now you see there are names of the authors. Usually the corresponding author names comes at the end. So how do you understand this? Who is corresponding? Usually there this envelope sign or a star sign is there. Whoever is star author, that means he or she is the corresponding author. Now the name of the first, whoever has the name in the first, he or she is the first author, and he can be also be the corresponding author. There is no problem. Some equal contributions can be there. These, and let's say they have contributed equally to the paper. So by some marks, it is already, usually it is mentioned that they have contributed equally. You have to mention, and the corresponding author will mention that while communicating at some part of the paper. So, and these are the name of all the authors. So there is some prescribed format for how you can write the names. Now this is particularly the okay, okay. Yeah, so this is particularly the introduction part. So here you can see, from here, starting from here, so this is the introduction part, because as I was saying, there is no limit for this particular nature group. Okay, so that's why it is so much elaborated. Okay, so till here, this is totally introduction part. You can see there is total three paras are there. The first part they have given some background. In the second part they have given some literature survey, and in the third, here in the third para, here you can see, you can, here we describe. So from in every paper there's a particular section, or here in we describe, or here in we want to say. So there is coming actually to the work. So here, so this is in the third para, you can see they're describing their whatever is done in the work. Now it is coming, as I was saying, result and discussions parts are separately mentioned in this nature. So result part is coming. So now different subsection can be there in the nature. So different subsections are usually there. So now you describe your result. Now don't, I'm not going in the detail. And so another thing is that you can see the figures as well. So this is the first figure, all the schematics of the figure. From here, the main theme of the paper will be should come up from here. Okay. Now you can see from here, figure one is overall design of the paper. Now, figure 2 and A, B, C, D are mentioned, and these are also mentioned in the legend or the caption section. You have to clearly mention what figure is depicting to what. Now, for the bar diagram, you can see some error bars are there. So, how much from how much data they have done that, you have to mention that. You can see research by performed in triplicate n equals to 3 yields are reported the are the means of the three independent experiments. Okay, now coming to the method section. So method section is okay, before method there's a discussion section. As I was saying, you have to describe whatever discussion part is there. And then method means it is actually the typical methods whatever you have gone through. It can come usually in the supplementary information section, not necessarily you have to provide in the, but this is the method for this particular journal. And in this way further you have to give the reference, and then you have to give the acknowledgement, and then all the other things, right? So in the reference section you can see particular format is there for them, and you have to go through that. So this is just I wanted to show you how a paper looks like. Now we can go to our yeah, our uh, session, and we can go through the assignment problems very quickly. Okay, now the first problem in assignment 10 was, so these you know, these are very, I'll just go through the problems. Suppose you have written a research paper and are considering the following alternative titles, which one meets all the described criteria. So in the title should be such that it is always covering the main theme of the paper, right? It should always, you have to be very careful about that. So, and so here the options are given that studies are on the effect of remdesivir on COVID-19 patients of 40 to 60 age group. The effect of remdesivir on COVID-19 patients of this age group. So, and the third one is studies of this effect of remdesivir. So you can see this is most appropriate in the sense that this is actually describing the thing of the thing of the work in very crisp and elaborate way, and within the limit of the, usually it should be within limit of 10 words, but there's no hard and fast rule for that again. Uh, yeah. Okay, another thing I just forgot to mention that in some papers there you have to mention the keywords. Keywords are, let's say for five keywords you have to mention. So keywords are basically the words that will describe your paper. I mean, whatever word, whatever area you are working, and this, what editors do, editors find these five keywords and they see in within, once you put these keywords, who are the people working within the field. So and in that way they can ask for they can search the reviewers as well. Okay, now the second question was, is the following abstract of a paper in the form, what are the problems. So abstract is given here, and then they have asked, finally we decided rather. So that the problems is the option that is given, that is the abstract is too long, the abstract has paragraph break, the abstract has displayed equations, abstract has references, the abstract refers to an equation. So the abstract has a paragraph break. Second one is the abstract has displayed equations. Third one's the abstract has references, and lastly the abstract refers to an equation which
Also,
appear. Yeah, all. So yeah, so but the first one is not actually, the abstract is too long. That is not, but the others are actually the problems. So what are the problems that is they asked? So it is actually not long. This is very short and crisp, but the others are the problem, right? So the abstract should not have any paragraph break, should not show any equation, should be crisp. No reference should be there in the abstract, right? The third problem is the introduction section of a paper contains what it contains. Problem of the statements is correct. Literature survey, it is also there, correct. Simulation results are not asked. Results with graphs and tables are not included. Finally, an outline of the methodology. So these are there. So these 3 parts are there. Next one is which of the following are the accepted format of references? So first one you can see name, and so nothing is there. So that is not accepted. Second one you can see name of the author is there, name of the journal is there, name. This is the name of the this is the title of the journal paper. This is the name of the journal. Then this volume.
volume year, author name.
Yeah, so volume, then these are the number of page, and then this is the publishing year. So all these things are there. So it will be this is accepted. Then next one is given the name of the author, name of the journal, name of the title of the paper,
This one.
volume, number, page. So all are there. So again, this is also accepted. Third one is talking is giving the name of the author, name of all these things are there, but you can
Volume
see
is not
that
there.
volume is
Volume
not
is
there. Yeah, so it is not accepted. Again, in the fourth case,
it will
name
be
of the author
accepted.
is there, name of the journal
Volume
is
is there.
there, and other like volume,
Pages and
page
year.
number,
Volume.
and the year. So these things are important. So once these are there, this is also accepted. So in some journals, so this title of the paper is not always required, but the name of the journal and this volume, now page and year, these are, and the name of the authors are very important. Sometimes what happens, if let's say 10 authors are there, so you can whatever what you can do, after five after one author you can say, you can tell it like etal, this first author then etal. So it is a common norm of writing the name. So because it is sometimes it is not possible to provide the name of a 10 to 50, more than, even sometimes more than that kind of authors are there, that number of authors are there. Okay, now next question is a vector graphic images and the raster graphic image. So vector graphic image is an image format that does not become blocky of an enlargement. So it is whatever as in whatever way you can just increase, enlarge, or compress that image. It should not pixelite. And a graphic image is basically generated by image processing program like MS Point, Photoshop, etc. Then made by tiny dots, stored in file format like JPG, BMP, PNG, JPEG, and TIFF, TIFF, and so I've just given some details of that. So basically, vector graphic is a method of object representation that uses multiple vector primitives to form a picture. And basically, the image is achieved through mathematical formulations. And the unique feature is that no matter how much you zoom in or zoom out of the particular vector image, it will not pixelite. I mean, you will never see any pixel. Okay, and for the raster image, it is just the opposite case. It is just made up of pixels, and once you enlarge the image, it can get the you can see the pixelization of the image, and so it can get worse for presentation. So you can see from here. So this is a vector image. So and since it's made up of a particular formula or particular what is called this mathematical formula, it is not pixelating, however you are enlarging, and this in this case for the raster one, this is pixelating. So basically that these are the basic differences. Multiple references points or curves are made of for vector image, and for the raster is made up of pixel. Scalability, it is no scalability limit is there. Anyhow, it enlarge or decrease, it will not lose its quality. But in the case of raster, it will lose its quality. Convertibility is convertible to raster. It is not convertible to vector. different formats of files like EPS, AI. AI means Adobe Illustrator, SVG, uh, PDF. So these are vectors for raster images are like BMP, JPG, GIF, PNG, or these all these are raster images. Okay, so these are just the basic differences. You can just go through this. Now we're coming to the next question. Once you try to build theories on science based on only what is observed, is not correct. Avoiding speculation on things that are not yet observed, regarding observation things and phenomena as well as what are not yet observed is correct, and the only purpose of theory building should be that to relate the measurement. So third one is the correct, you can obviously understand. Next question is the difference between a
Sir,
hyphen and a
hello.
yeah.
Sir, please display that 5, 6 question slide.
Okay.
Question number 5 and 6.
Yeah, yeah. So these are the vector graphic and raster graphic. Basically, the difference between that here, a single answer type question is there. So others you can see in drawing of vector is not. These are not relating. Actually, the answer is an image format that does not become blocky or that does not get worse while enlarging or some decreasing. So, but for the raster image, it's just the opposite. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Please continue with 7 and 8.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, so basically for a difference between hyphen and dash, so hyphen is short and dash is long, right? This is first one is correct. Second one is dash is used when a long word is broken at the end of the line. So, is it correct? I guess not. Next one is a hyphen is used only in titles and section heading. That is also not correct. A hyphen is used to join the two words, and dash is used to join the fragments of two sentences. To join two sentence fragments. Yes. So hyphen is used to join basically two words and for a particular phrase, and hyphen is used to join two different sentences for a complex sentence in particular. So these are the difference between dash and hyphen. Again, there is two types of hyphens are there, dash are there, you know, right? EM dash and EN dash. So basically, EN dash is the limit of EN, while the limit of the area of N or the limit of N from one end to other end of N, that is for EN dash, and other is for EM dash, that is the from one end to other end of the letter N, that is called the EM dash, and that is also used for different cases. Okay, now I'm not going in detail. The ninth problem is which of the following graphs has axis labels suitable for publication? Now, first one is only x and y is mentioned. Uh, Second is called x and t. In the first case, the problem is only what is mentioned like the axis, no axis title is mentioned like what it is mentioning, and again the also the no unit is mentioned again in both the cases, so it is not acceptable. Second, in the second case, no access title is given, although it is said that the unit is given, but that's why it is not also acceptable. In the third case, they have mentioned what is designating which axis. Basically, the axis title is y-axis is designated to position. That's why x, and the unit is in meter, and the x-axis is for time, that is t, for second, that is depicting. So it is now this is an accepted thing. And in the fourth case, the problem is again the shorthand notations are not given, only axis title and the units are given. Okay, so that's why this is accepted. Okay, now coming to the last problem of assignment 10 is the conclusion section of a paper can contain an acknowledgement of the funding and support. This is not should be there in the conclusion is separate section. A summary of the critical results. Okay. Reiteration of the points raised in the introduction. Not correct. References to cited. So this is the summary of the critical result. Right? So is that okay? Now, okay. Now, very related things are there in the assignment 11. So I'll quickly go through that also. So the so basically, these are the typical rules that is there for the poster presentation and oral presentations are there. So that is the first problem is the proper number of slides for an oral presentation is no again these questions is no hard and fast rule, but you have to select again the most appropriate. Okay, so the approximately double of the number is half of the number of minutes allotted for this oral presentation, and finally the approximately 3 minutes. So again, there's no particular number you can provide, but approximately it should be the number that is allotted to you, and it depends upon your pace, how speedy you can communicate in the particular presentation. So, but usually it is this option is the most correct. In preparing slides for presentation, the 6 by 6 rule implies no more than 6 pictures in a slide with 6 figures is not correct. No more than about 6 lines of text per slide and 6 words per line. So this is correct. No more than 6 equations and no more than 6 colors and 6 heads. So second one is correct, right? No more than about 6 lines per slide and 6 words per line. So this is the general rule. In an oral presentation, most slides should be dominated by image, equation, table, and text. So here it should be image, right? Always it is image is more easier to understand. Now fourth one is that in preparing slides for oral presentation, one should write on slide what one is going to see. Again, we know that we should not do that. We should not elaborately write what we are going to say in the presentation. One should write a minimum text as bullet point. So this is correct, right? We should to see there should be at least 10 bullet points in one slide. So there is no rule as such how much bullet points you want to mention. And finally, in a slide, one should use as many colors and fonts as possible. So this is again against the rule. You should use the minimum of colors and use a single font throughout the text. So then the option is second one. One should write a minimum of text as bill points. Okay. Now I'm going forward. Next one is the font size of the text, not heading in a slide should be. It is usually accepted as 24 points. These are the general rules. Now the size of the running text in a conference poster should be uh, 20 and between 20 and 24. So these are because they are should be very enlarged, and once you're presenting in a poster, it should be very clearly visible. So that's why these are the rules. Like within it should be large and for clearly visible. It should be 20 and 24. These are the rules. You can if you just go through the text, you can find it from there. Now, in presenting a poster, one should prepare to speak to most participants for the minimum you can understand 1 over 30 minutes, 10 minutes, and the 3 to 4 minutes. So 3 to 4 minutes should be the answer. The minimum time you can spend to make it understand to the audience. Next one is the purpose of synopsis of a PhD thesis is to disseminate the work among a larger audience, partial fulfillment of the requirement of a PhD degree. The synopsis will be kept in a library to obtain the consent of the examiner. So your consent or your aim should be to get the consent of the examiners to understand uh, what is happening, or whether whatever work you have done, whether that is enough to get a degree. So that is the main criteria of writing a synopsis of your PhD thesis. So that is the to obtain a consent, the consent of the examiners, basically to pass the examiners and to submit your thesis for publication. Now, question number 9 is the sentence in a paper should preferably be constructed in active voice, passive voice, singular first person, third person, active voice firstly, then third person the study showed in this way, and finally plural first form like we carried out. Never mention I do, because unless it is a single author paper, you should not or you cannot mention in that I have done it. So you must you always while writing in the active voice you have to write we have carried out or we have done this. Okay. Okay. Now the last and the final question of assignment is the stress position of in a sentence comes in the beginning, in the end, somewhere in the middle, just next to the topic. So it comes always at the end, right? So these are the ways how you should make a sentence or you should, while writing manuscript. Now all these things are gone.
No, last slide, please. Last slide. Previous slide, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. In confusion.
okay. Thank you. I had taken the
Okay.
short.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Now I'll just quickly go through another topic, that is this scientific misconduct. This is also very important topic. I'll just quickly go through. So, what is scientific misconduct? Scientific misconduct is a research misconduct is defined as fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research or in reporting research result. Okay, so this is actually called scientific research misconduct. So, yeah. Uh, so basically, these three are the parts of scientific misconduct. So that is fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. So these three are the parts. What is fabrication? Fabrication is making up a result or data and recording and reporting that data. So making up means your phantom data. So there is no such data is there, no such data actually belongs, but you are randomly on your own from your figment of imagination. You have made that data without any solid support of experiment, and you are reporting that. So that is called the fabrication of data. Data fabrication is very we have seen quite often in this research area. Next is the falsification. Is the manipulation of research material, equipment, or process, or changing or omitting results such that the research is not accurately represented in record. So basically, the thing is uh, any data you have gotten, so to fit your expected hypothesis you can just omit some data, or you can just change the data, you can change the trend, or you can make some change in the instrument so that you can get your desired or hypothesized result. So these are basically called the falsification of the data. Now plagiarism is the appropriation of another's idea or process, results, or words without giving proper credit or without proper due. So, if you are taking some idea of some others or taking some data from some other paper, but you are not giving the name of that particular author, uh, or not giving the due respect or the due credit to that author. So it means yeah, that is called actually the plagiarism. So the norm is that once you or particularly you are taking some line from some particular paper, but you are not mentioning that or not referring to that paper. So it is called plagiarism, and it is also quite often seen. So The thing is that even if you are taking some line or writing or taking the help of some line, you always before publishing you always need to check your manuscript in your library because they have some access out to checking for checking this plagiarism, and they will check your manuscript or thesis and they will confirm that okay your thesis is less than there's a limit of how much you can copy from a particular paper. I mean, if you go beyond that, you have to give the credit. So that you have to maintain. And self plagiarism is an author publishing the same data in more than one journal. Like you have gotten a data, but you are reporting the same data in different journals. That is called self plagiarism. So that is also comes under the scientific misconduct. Although it is your calculated or experimental data, but you cannot you cannot report that in multiple times. If you are reporting that, let's say you have reported that in one journal, now if you want to report that again, then you have to refer to that particular journal. Without referring that, you cannot mention that again you have for the first time you are getting the data. Okay, so these are the four important types of scientific misconduct. So these things very often seen in the research field, and uh, and you have to combat like that. And another problem that happens sometimes for this falsification that is missed is that sorry in the plagiarism part is that sometimes this is from the authors who are writing them as from their part, but from sometimes what happens and reviewer also makes some mistakes like they ask for some they ask from uh, credit whether that is actually not there. So they mention that you should refer this particular journal. So then if you don't agree to that, you can write that clearly to the editor that we don't agree to that. But if it is valid, then you have to obviously mention. But this kind of misconduct is done by some reviewer to just increase their number of citation. So this also happens. Okay. So these are the very few some of, types. Now, what is not scientific misconduct? That you have to very clearly be differentiate. So research misconduct does not include disputes regarding honest error or honest differences. So, in interpretation or judgment of data, and is not intended to resolve bona fide scientific disagreement or debate. Like if you have done, so you have calculated, obtained some data, you have reported that, and it is later found out that it is not actually correct. But you have not intentionally done that. You have whatever you have done. I mean that is based upon your knowledge. It can be wrong, but that doesn't mean that you are making a scientific misconduct because that is your knowledge or your understanding can be wrong, but it should not be intentional. Okay, that is the once you're doing it intentionally, then that is the misconduct. Misconduct must be committed intentionally, knowingly or recklessly. Once you unintentionally do that, so that will not come under the scientific misconduct. Okay. Now, another thing that needs to be mentioned while misconduct is that you should be very careful while writing. I mean, while writing all this paper for for checking the data and checking the plagiarism and giving the due credit to all the authors or the previous reports. Yeah, you want to say something?
Sorry, sorry.
Okay, okay. Okay, so now we can see some problems with that. There's assignment 12. So what I wanted to mention is that recently, if some of you are in Twitter, and you must have noticed that one scientific misconduct that is came up is that one particular author has reported a paper, and there what he has done is very he has put a T upon all the bar diagrams. So sorry. let's say this is a bar diagram. This is a bar diagram. So this is a bar diagram. This is a bar diagram, right? So this is a bar diagram. Some x and y axis are there. Now you will calculate the errors, right? We'll calculate the errors, and from there we'll get the error bars. So sorry. So yeah. So you'll get the error bar like this. Okay, but that you have to calculate only. So, but what he has done, or I don't know what he or she was there, he has put a T upon every bar diagram, right? And that has come up to in knowledge in later. Even it was after got published. So it is very shocking. It should not. One should not do this at all. Let's put different size of T in upon at the head of every bar diagram, and that was published. So you can understand this kind of misconduct is happens all the time. So this is called actually the data fabrication, or okay. Okay, let's not digress. We'll just see. So, the term fabrication in the context of scientific misconduct means to fabricate an instrument and give entire result to make up a fake data or result. So, this is correct. Make up a fake data or result. A term related to the so these are not related to submit a paper to fake ones. Not good. Now, second problem is copying and pasting chunks of text from somebody else's work into paper is an acceptable practice called deception, called plagiarism. We've just read that. Next one is copying and pasting from one's own paper. It's called self-plagiarism. Just read that. After the publication of a paper, the raw data is no longer needed is not right. The raw data may be needed if a dispute arises. The raw data should be discarded through the SEDAR, and the raw data should be retained as long as possible. Actually, the raw data should be retained as long as possible. Raw data means the data that you are getting from the instrument. That is called the raw data. And if you in some journals, basically in the nature group journals, they always ask for this raw data. Once your result is accepted in the paper, you have to submit they will ask for this raw data files. You have to submit, and so like let's say you have calculate this mean value or the error bars from three triplicate results. So you have to provide all these triplicate data sets, um, as well as the mean and the error. So they will check whether this actually is not imaginative data, is actual calculated data from three set of data. So this one. Next is the corresponding author is the author who has maximum contribution is not the who has the maximum contribution is usually the first author. The author who is responsible for answering all queries regarding the paper. This is called the corresponding author. For any kind of problem or any kind of query, the editor will communicate always to this corresponding author. Okay. The term predatory journal implies a biology journal that specializes predators. No. An online journal? No. A journal that publishes papers for a fee with practically no review. That is true. That is the correct one. Journal that is so you can understand if there is no peer review process is there. If you just publish with giving some money, so then that is not will not be acceptable in the scientific community, and a printed journal is not. Next, the deliberate omission of outliers from a dataset.
Sir,
Of,
please go to the previous slide.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so the deliberate omission of outliers from the dataset amounts to plagiarism, fabrication, distortion, and breach of confidentiality. So plagiarism it is not deliberate omission. It obviously is called the fabrication. You're fabricating a data, right? You're changing the data. That's why it is fabrication. Now, when you are asked to review a paper, the following are considered misconduct. discussing the content of your paper in the research group. It is strictly confidential, so you should not discuss that thing in your research group. Okay, that is the person, that is misconduct. Second is rejecting the paper and carrying out the idea to publish your own paper. It always happens. Sometimes it always happens that you are giving some data, you're reviewing some paper, and what they do is that they take the idea, but somehow they say to the editor that okay, this is not what is not up to the mark, and then he says that uh, then he takes the time, and that the paper gets rejected from that particular journal, and he or she get take the idea and do the I mean publish the work in some other journal. So in that way, he or she tries to take the credit basically of that particular result. So that is also scientific misconduct. Third one is asking the authors to cite your own paper. That is that I was saying is also very is it happens very normally, asking for to cite your own paper and basing the review on the name and name of the author. So is also correct. So all four are basically is called scientific misconduct while reviewing the paper. Now the ninth one is the falling amount to scientific misconduct is failing to realize that the systematic error has got to the measurement, not removing these data points that constrains the scientist's hypothesis. Yeah, this is correct. Conducting an experiment aiming at establishing one's personal belief is not true. Is your imaginative work, imaginative data cannot be there, and choosing the experimental group and control preferentially without randomization, that is also not accepted. Okay, so removing basically the data points is called the scientific misconduct. Comes under the scientific misconduct. Now, the following practice are not considered scientific misconduct. Which one is called? Which one?
Sir,
Yeah.
in our assignments, this
Uh-huh.
choosing the experimental group and control group preferentially without randomization. So these all three are okay. That is
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. These all three. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Thank you.
obviously, I mean, you have to understand like these multiple question choices. Okay. So,
Yeah,
so
sure.
which?
I missed your
Yeah.
verbal communication, so I thought it
Okay.
is, yeah.
Yeah. So the final problem is that the following practice are not considered as scientific misconduct. Which one will be not considered as scientific misconduct? So first one is publishing one scientific work in newspapers without publishing in peer-reviewed journal. Is not correct. So unless you're going through a peer review, so it will be if you are not going through a peer review, it will be considered. It means that you are submitting or your paper or journal, your work is being published in some paid journal, right? So they are taking some amount of money, and then they're not reviewing the data, and they are publishing. So it means that you are doing that, but that is coming under misconduct. So this that is misconduct. Second one is copying and pasting from one's own paper into the same person's PhD thesis. So that is not so. If you can take exactly same thing from your published paper there, because that is in that case you are the first author, so that is your work, your published work, so that you can directly copy paste in your PhD thesis. That is not a scientific misconduct. Third one is wrong result obtained due to the inadvertent programming error. So for some programming error, that some error is some data miscalculation is happening. So that will not be as considered as misconduct, because that is not your fault. That is not your intentional fault. That is just happening for some other error, technical error. And final problem is the deliberately stating and the measured values without error bars. So deliberately stating the measured values without error bars. So without error bars, you can understand that it's not valid. So this is like in come under the misconduct. So the in between these two and second and third option will be not considered as the scientific misconduct. Okay. So on that note, we can just conclude the session. We've discussed all the points actually. Now I just included one problem that was there in the last week. I have given to you. So I hope you have all done that. There's not no need to solve this. I'll just provide this slide. You can go through that. You can see that is just the solution of that is given. So I'll not elongate this session any further. I will finish the session and I'll conclude our discussion part. I'll thank you all and wish you all the best for your upcoming exam. I hope that you will do well there.
Sir,
I
please,
just
please display this last slide.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So this one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, you just check it here. So, let me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much, sir. It was a nice presentation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank
It
you
was
all.
nice session.
So I'm sure that you will do well there. So just I will say practice the scientific problems or mathematical problems, and these theoretical parts you will do anyway good. I'm sure about that. Just be prepared and all the best. What should I say?
Hopefully, they ask the good questions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. The similar question,
Good, nay,
kind
easy
of questions will
questions.
be there.
Then
The
Yeah,
similar.
I
easy. It
don't
should be
see the
not
question is
lazy.
good questions, not Lindy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because
They
Yeah,
calculations
as I
and
was
yeah,
that
saying,
makes
so
yes.
some
so
questions
that
that should be done within the time limit, right? So,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
data set, data point that
that
should be
should be on the
given.
formula base. That should be on the formula base. So
Yeah, yeah, formula based, but again, if it is very long, very large digits are given, but and you have to do that with using that online calculator, so that will be very strenuous job. So right, so that's what I'm saying. So it will be the problems will be set in such a way so that that can be done within the time. Okay, there's no need to worry about that. Okay,
that
so
common question we can achieve.
yeah, so on that note, we can just I'll just conclude the session.
Yeah,
Okay.
sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you
sir.
all.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Sure. I'm stopping. Stop this sharing.